I ask that you please remain standing for the invocation. Good afternoon, family, faculty, and my closest 41 friends. Please join me in bowing your heads for our opening prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to celebrate this beautiful day together. There has been one constant throughout our 3 years of academic and clinical hardship. You have been there for each and every one of us. Thank you for giving us the strength and our professors the guidance to further our chosen path and for making this a life worth living. I challenge each of us today to remember our true why and to take that into our community upon graduation. Please widen our minds so that we may spread your holy name through our touch, our words, and our presence as we go forward into this world. Please allow us to shine as bright, not only because of our celebration of success, but because our path has just begun. In your name I pray, amen. You may be seated.
Good afternoon. Program faculty and staff, administrators, distinguished guests, friends, family, and most importantly, to our 42 graduates here in front of me this afternoon, congratulations. It brings me great pleasure on behalf of the Provost's office to welcome you to the 2022 Doctor of Physical Therapy hooding ceremony. My name is Travis Teague, and I serve as the Vice Provost of Academic Affairs. Each of you in this graduating class, in your own way, have endured difficult circumstances and challenges. You've sacrificed on many levels, from navigating the hardships of the pandemic, both personally and professionally, to missing time with family and loved ones to reach your goals. I believe it was Thomas Edison who said, "Many times opportunity comes dressed in overalls and looks a lot like work." You didn't shy away. You've done the work, competed courageously in the arena. You persevered. Congratulations again. I once heard someone say, "Don't be afraid of failing in life, but rather be I once heard it said, "Don't be afraid of failing in life, but rather fear being successful at things that don't matter." I hope each of you leaves Wingate in the physical therapy program knowing that you matter. Not only you, but what you're doing in a career of service to others matters. With regards to humble service, C.S. Lewis once said that being humble isn't thinking any less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. In the months and years ahead, I challenge you to be an outlier, an anomaly, humbly placing the interests of others ahead of your own. It's said that Wingate is a place of difference makers. With a unique skill set you've developed and successfully demonstrated through your education here, you'll soon have the opportunity, the challenge, the responsibility of making a true difference. It's what you've prepared to do. I encourage you now, go and do it. Again, welcome and congratulations.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Frail, Director of the Physical Therapy Program. It is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Kyle Covington. I'm going to read his whole bio, and I told him I would embarrass him by doing so. Dr. Covington is Associate Professor and Director of Educational Innovation and Director of Post-Professional Education for Duke University's Doctor of Physical Therapy Program, including Duke DPT's Faculty Development Residency Program, which is accredited by the American Board of Physical Therapy Residencies and Fellowships. He received his Bachelor of Sciences degree from Wake Forest University in Health and Exercise Science. In 2004, he graduated from Duke University's Doctor of Physical Therapy Program. He completed his PhD studies at North Carolina State University in 2015, focusing on educational research and policy analysis in adult education. Dr. Covington has extensive experience in clinical and didactic curriculum and program development with a concentrated interest in integrated collaborative learning models. His research interests focus on professional development in the clinical learning partnership between instructors and students and on best practices of educational assessment and evaluation in the health professions. He has held several offices in the APTA North Carolina, including president from 2016 to 2019. He has served 12 terms as a delegate to the American Physical Therapy Association's National House of Delegates. He is an elected member of the American Physical Therapy Association's Board of Directors and is the vice speaker of the APTA's House of Delegates. Additionally, Dr. Covington is a board-certified neurologic specialist emeritus. Dr. Covington is also the proud father, along with his wife, Suzanne, of 2 children, Claire and Graham. On a personal note, for those of you who might know Dr. Covington, he always wears a bow tie when he commemorates the special occasions. He chose today to wear blue and gold, which is Wingate's colors, but we do have another one for him, a Wingate bow tie that I want to leave up here for you. So I give you Dr. Kyle Covington.
Thanks a lot. Dr. Teague, Dr. Frill, the Wingate University Doctor of Physical Therapy faculty, and all the friends and family and supporters here today, but most importantly, the graduates of the class of 2022. It's really great to be back with you on this hugely important day for all of you. It's really a unique thing that Wingate does by inviting someone to be your white coat speaker. You may remember I was here, I don't know. I barely remember 3 years ago. Your white coat speaker at the beginning of your time in the program, and then they also tell you when you're invited that you can plan to be the graduation speaker for that same class. What Dr. Friel didn't say, but it felt implied, was you're the graduation speaker unless you really screw up the white coat speech. But here I am, so I guess I didn't. But even with that low threshold met, it's a lot of pressure to be a graduation speaker. I'm supposed to say something insightful and meaningful that captures the importance of this day and inspires you to go out into the world ready to care for people. I know this because I've been to a lot of graduations and heard a lot of graduation speakers. I can tell you who each one of my speakers were at Wake, Duke, and NC State. I can tell you who many of the speakers were I've listened to at my home program. I can barely tell you anything any of them said. So if I'm lucky, you'll remember I was here, and that's about it. I'm going to try to aim just a little bit higher, we'll see. So I've really thought about you all, honestly, a lot the last few years, and have looked forward ever since to being back. I'm sure you remember we all gathered just across campus to celebrate your entry into the profession at your white coat ceremony just before, weeks before, the world changed dramatically forever because of the impact of a global healthcare crisis we've not seen in more than a century. I've wondered how you were doing, how you were holding up, and if you still had the same enthusiasm for being a healthcare provider you did when we were together. Every time I've seen Dr. Friel or anybody else on your faculty in the time since, they've given me updates about how professional and caring and resilient and funny and tight-knit this class has been the past 3 years. You may remember when I was here before, I talked about looking for the lasts and this idea that so often we tend to celebrate the big first milestones or big first moments in life, but sometimes miss the important last things as they slip away. Well, given the past 3 years, I'm sure we all had some important last moments that we do remember, like the last time we went somewhere without a mask in our pocket, or the last time we sat in a room with our classmates and faculty before you were sent home to try learning online, the last time you attended a live concert or a live sporting event. For me, there was a very profound moment. I distinctly remember the last moment I thought I might be capable of managing 2 children in online elementary school while I taught physical therapy from the guest bedroom. By the way, I learned I would make a horrible teacher, so props to anybody that's here that is. I'm not cut out for that. Or, some other harder ones, like maybe the last time we hugged a loved one or the last time we spoke to a friend that died from COVID. But hopefully, you've had some happy lasts too. So this is the time to remember some of those. Like the last time you had to dissect your cadaver. And the last time you struggled to figure out how to manual muscle test something. The last time you got confused what the difference was between an upper motor or a lower motor neuron sign. And if you're still not sure, figure that one out. Your last final exam, or your last practical exam, or the last time you had to fill out that CPI, and maybe the last time you had to learn anything new at all, right? No. Wrong. We have to talk about that. One of the weird things about graduations is that we're all here in these crazy outfits making a big deal about the fact that you've learned so much and now can be a physical therapist. Well, I'm here to break the sad news that you have not learned nearly enough yet. Real downer, right? Who invited me? But I want to spend a few minutes telling you about some of the most important things I learned after all my classes in PT school were over, none of which my faculty told me, and none of which are on the national licensing exam that many of you will be taking in January, but all of which have been far more transformative for my career than anything that happened in physical therapy classrooms. And all of which, you may guess, I learned from patients. My first lesson was from a patient named Mary. She was a patient I met during my very last clinical experience in PT school. I was practicing in a large intensive inpatient rehab facility in Mississippi on their stroke service, and I really thought I knew what I was doing. Mary was my first solo evaluation. I had read her chart inside and out. I knew she had major cognitive deficits, complete hemiplegia, and difficulty expressing herself. And like any good, eager PT student, I wanted to show my instructor I knew it was important to determine my patient's cognitive status. A&O's times 4, right? Is the patient alert, oriented to person, place, time, and situation? I was ready to go. Person. Hi, can you tell me your name? No response. Just a blank stare. Okay, Mary, do you know what year it is? No response, just a blank stare. Situation. Mary, do you know what's going on? Do you know what happened? Still no response. That was place, actually. Now situation. Mary, do you know why you are here? At that moment, she looked at me, stared me dead in the eye, moved her unaffected hand and patted me on my knee, and spoke for the first time since her stroke, with more truth than I would understand until many years later. While looking me in the eye, she said, "We're right where we're supposed to be." And how right Mary was, and how right she still is today. We are right where we're supposed to be. What Mary understood, we all too often lose sight of. As you have rushed to finish your internships, move from place to place, interview from jobs, study for your boards, you may have lost sight of what's important in the moment. I would like to tell you that things will settle down after graduation, but they won't. Full of good news today, right? Things just get busier. Some of you may enter residencies. You'll all enter demanding jobs. Some of you may start families. You will all face unexpected challenges that will add stress and busyness in your lives. And you'll all spend the next years chasing the next important thing. Whatever that is for you, don't forget to be content in your present moments of life. No matter how things feel or how unsure you may feel, you are right where you're supposed to be. Wherever that is, you'll learn new things, you'll help people, you'll change the lives of the patients you serve. You'll do all of that better if you let yourself realize in each moment that someone there needs you in that place and time and situation. Sure, you'll have more goals and want to move on, but be content. And in that current moment, do not let yourself, in your haste for your next steps, lose those lessons and opportunities that are available right where you are. Because when you're there, in that place and time and situation, your Mary will need you there here with her. My next big lesson came a few years into practice. I was a neuro PT for a large outpatient clinic. One day, a coworker came up to me and let me know her distant relative was bringing in her son, Seth, for me to see. He was a young man with a life marked with profound developmental delays, and for the last few years, had been unable to walk. My coworker said to me, "I told my cousin I know Kyle can help him. I told him you were the best and no one else could help Seth like you can." Well, I appreciated her enthusiasm in my abilities and the fact that her confidence clearly exceeded my own, but nothing, and I mean nothing, strikes fear in a therapist's heart more than the phrase, "I told them you're the only one that can help." My first thought was, oh, shoot. My second thought was, maybe they'll cancel their appointment. My third thought was maybe I can run away. And sometime later, I decided those didn't seem realistic. And my fourth thought was, well, if they've been told I'm their guy, I have to figure out a way to be their guy. Seth was one of the most compassionate, eager, and friendly young men I have ever met. While he was mostly nonverbal, he was able to clearly communicate through his eyes, the noises he uttered, and his hugs. It was quickly clear nothing I could do would disappoint him. For some reason, he loved me, and I grew to love him. We worked on strengthening balance and coordination exercises for weeks, all the while his devoted mother looked on with anxiety in her eyes. Rightfully so, she was protective and concerned about this young man she'd cared for his entire life, and often she was nervous of any intervention I chose that pushed her comfort zone. I mentioned a few times trying to take some steps with Seth. I could tell Mom was wary and concerned he may fall and get injured, which not only would have had an impact on Seth, of course, but the entire family, who were weary from the many years of serving as his devoted caregivers. Still, I had to find a way to make the difference they'd been promised. So one day, Mom went back out to the car to make some phone calls. I looked at Seth. I looked at the treadmill. I looked at his cousin, my coworker across the gym, who had worked with me long enough to know I have a very, very healthy respect for rules and an even deeper love for knowing how to bend them at just the right time. She smiled, I smiled back, and I ran, pushing Seth's wheelchair to the treadmill. Seth squealed with delight, clapping his hands, and that was all the permission I needed to hoist him up onto a slow-moving treadmill. And he started to walk with a lot of assistance. And just then, behind me, I heard his mom, stifling her proud tears. And when Seth was tired, we turned around and sat. She smiled, told me thanks, and received one of Seth's famous hugs. I still, to this day, 16 years later, have a clay leaf necklace that Seth made for me in his day program hanging on my desk at work that reminds me of the lesson he taught me. The lesson he taught me is to be bold. Do not be brash, be bold. There's a crucial difference between being brash and bold. Seth, and especially Seth's mom, needed my patience. They needed to trust me, and at just the right moment, they needed me to be bold and decisive. There will be many times in your career that your patients, their family, or even your coworkers will need your measured and careful boldness. Don't give it out except when it's needed. Don't use it unless you know without a doubt the timing is right. And do not ever be bold because it'll make you feel better. But at just the right moment, make the decision you know is best for those around you, but that you also know they may not be able to make for themselves. Because just like Seth and his mother, when those around you are wary of the way forward, they'll need your measured boldness. The last lesson I want to share with you came about 6 years ago. I stood beside the physician as we reviewed the patient's head scans. The patient, a young father, had seen the physician many times because of ongoing sinus infections. What no one expected that day to find on the CT scans was a nearly golf ball-sized tumor in the sella of the patient's brain, engulfing the pituitary gland, encircling the internal carotid arteries, and pushing the base of the skull lower than it was supposed to be. I had spent my career working with patients with brain tumors and strokes and immediately knew every possible implication of the tumor's location. What was different this time was that the patient was me. The physician, a young man himself with kids the same ages as mine, who I had grown to know well, couldn't make eye contact. I am sure, shaken himself by the surprise, he did his best job of offering me assurance, finding me colleagues in his clinic to talk to for more information, scheduled a follow-up test, and sent me on my way. Over the next few months, I would grow time and time again to experience looks of uncertainty from providers. I experienced well-intentioned attempts to answer questions with as much hope as the provider could muster, but with empty promises, false assurances, and a tone of pity that came from the provider considering what they would do in a similar situation. I know because in every one of those moments, I realized I had done the same thing so often with my own patients. But I also experienced unbelievable courage of some of those who helped care for me. The courage to provide compassion, the courage to put their hand on a stranger's shoulder that they knew needed their support, and the courage to say, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll be here with you as we figure this out together. I'm happy to say that I would later go on to discover my tumor was incredibly treatable and I'm fine, and so much more fortunate than so many patients we care for. But this experience was one of the most transformative for me in considering how I interact with my patients, my colleagues, my friends and family, and the care and courage I provide for them when they're at their most vulnerable and feel lost and are searching for help. When we think of courage, we often think of a superhero or a brave or impressive action that stands out and garners attention. Your patients will need a much different kind of courage. Your patients will need you to muster the courage to care for them, provide them support, offer honesty when you yourself may be struggling to do so. They need your courage because often they won't have their own. There will be countless moments where your patients, just as I did, will need those around them to be honest, provide support, and act courageously in the face of massive uncertainty. Graduates, it's a day for celebrating the most important last moment in your career. These are the last moments you're not a doctor of physical therapy. You have learned so much over the last 3 years, and you've worked so hard to become incredible professionals, ready to transform society with your knowledge of movement and its incredible role in health. But this is not the last moment. You're just beginning. You and I have so much more to learn. And here's the greatest news. Your best teachers, the thousands of patients that you will care for, are just waiting for you. They are ready to teach you, but at the same time, they'll demand far more than your faculty has demanded of you. They need you to be content and understand the gift you're given each day to walk alongside them in the place and situations they face. They need you to be bold and make careful key decisions that they're unable to make that will inspire them to continue to work toward their goals. They need you to be courageous and provide the honesty, compassion, and support they'll often be unable to find anywhere else. And in no time in our history has our profession needed you more. Following years of an ongoing healthcare crisis, reported burnout of healthcare workers like we've never known before, and many questioning how we can continue to care for all of those that need it, we need you. Society needs you to bring your energy and your enthusiasm, but most of all, your contentment to all the people, places, and situations you encounter in each moment as more and more people realize the role for physical therapy as the best option to improve their movement and reduce their pain. This profession needs your bold actions and your intellect to push us in new directions I can't even fathom yet, as we discover more and more about the best ways to provide for care for those in our service. And this profession needs your courage as you face daunting prospects of a healthcare system overwhelmed and underfunded to provide care for the most vulnerable that need it the most. Graduates, I cannot wait to welcome you as my newest colleagues in this amazing profession. I can't wait to see the mark you leave on physical therapy with your content minds, your bold actions, and your courageous hearts. Congratulations, 2022 Wingate Doctors of Physical Therapy. It's truly a privilege and an honor to welcome you to the greatest profession.
You ready? At this time, I invite the class of 2022 to stand and prepare for their hooding ceremony. We will now begin with the hooding of our candidates. I invite Ms. Natalie Clark, Director of Admissions, to the podium.
As I call each student's name, I kindly ask you to hold your applause until the end. Dr. Jill Anthony. Dr. Allison Barclay. Dr. Charlie Bodwell. Dr. Stephen Brantley. Dr. Morgan Bruce. Dr. Chase Carson. Dr. Chance Cauble. Dr. Gabrielle Charles. Dr. Leanne Domatrovitz. Dr. Aaron Drawn. Dr. Taylor Drum. Dr. Morgan Edmiston. Dr. Nathaniel Foss. Dr. Emily Golden. Dr. Joshua Golden. Dr. John Gonzalez. Dr. Abigail Helm. Dr. Reed Hilgen. Dr. Lauren Howard. Dr. Reagan Jones. Dr. Laura Cam. Dr. Lauren Cobiella. Dr. Joanna Mackey. Dr. Kristen Martinez. Dr. Kayla Massey. Dr. Addison McCraw. Dr. Ashley Mustaine. Dr. Emily Nordberg. Dr. Ashton Parrish. Dr. Alicia Pfeiffer. Dr. Daniel Promutico. Dr. Casey Rourke. Dr. Trent Rudebeck. Dr. Jennifer Steddings. Dr. Zachary Tanner. Dr. Megan Tidy. Dr. Cassius Tillieu. Dr. Matthew Tracy. Dr. Haley Tucker. Dr. Dwayne Trent Wells. Dr. Caitlin Wetzel. Dr. Claire Willis. Will the class of 2022 please stand? I would now like to present to you the DPT graduating class of 2022.
I invite the class of 2022 to refer to the back of their programs and recite the professional oath with me. If there are any other physical therapists in the audience, you too are welcome to join in this process. As a physical therapist dedicated to providing the highest quality care and services, I solemnly pledge I will respect the rights and the dignity of all individuals who seek my services or with whom I work. Act in a compassionate and trustworthy manner in all aspects of my services. Exercise sound professional judgment while abiding by legal and ethical requirements. Demonstrate integrity during interactions with colleagues, other healthcare providers, students, faculty, researchers, the public, and payers for the enhancement of patient care and the advancement of the profession. Enhance my practice through lifelong acquisition and application of knowledge, skills, and professional behavior. Participate in efforts to meet physical therapy and healthcare needs of local, national, and global communities. Thus, with this oath, I humbly accept the duties and the responsibilities that embody the profession I have chosen as a physical therapist. You may be seated.
Now to the fun stuff. Okay, so student awards. Ready? Okay, Academic Excellence Award, awarded to the student or students who have the highest GPA in the DP2 curriculum. There's going to be a little bit of a caravan up to the stage because we have 4 students who achieved a perfect 4.0 during their time with us. Dr. Chase Carson, please come on up. Dr. Emily Nordberg. Dr. Allison Barclay. And Dr. Trent Rudebeck. Clinical Performance Award, awarded to the student who has consistently demonstrated exceptional performance in the clinic as determined by their clinical instructors. This year's award goes to Dr. Morgan Edmiston. Award for Service Excellence. This is awarded to the student who has consistently demonstrated a commitment to community service through the development, organization, and/or leadership in community service and is recognized by peers, faculty, and community service organizations as committed to community service during their time at Wingate. This year's recipient is Dr. Stephen Brantley. Is Mr. Stokes in the audience? If he is, could he come up to the podium? Not sure if he's here. No? Okay. The Stokes Leadership Award. This award is for the graduating student who has consistently exemplified the qualities of superior professional leadership through the employment of the core values of professionalism and physical therapy. The core values of consideration include accountability, altruism, compassion and caring, excellence, integrity, professional duty, and social responsibility. This award carries with it the highest recognition of overall performance as the consummate student professional and includes a monetary gift provided by the first recipient of the Director's Award for Leadership, Dr. Will Stokes, class of 2016. This year's recipient of the Stokes Leadership Award goes to Dr. John Gonzalez. Okay, now to our Student Impact Award. This is a faculty award. This faculty award, chosen by the graduating students, is presented in recognition of distinguished excellence in physical therapy education. The recipient is recognized as exhibiting ongoing excellence in all aspects of teaching, including service to the physical therapy profession, service to the Wingate University Department of Physical Therapy, and consistently upholding the department's mission to the highest standards. The faculty is also recognized as having made a significant impact on the graduating students throughout the curriculum, whereby their academic and professional success can be clearly attributed to the efforts of this faculty member. This year's recipient, as chosen by the students, Dr. Stephen Morris. Faculty Member of the Year. In consideration of the basic expectations of a core faculty member, teaching, service, scholarship, advising, academic citizenship, this award is bestowed upon the DPT core faculty member who exhibits the following characteristics over the past academic year. Exhibits excellence in at least one area of faculty duty, consistently achieves proficiency in all aspects of faculty expectations, regularly earns superior evaluations of duties from all sources of review, exhibits innovation in one or more faculty duty, is recognized as being deeply committed to teaching and student success, consistently promotes the program, university, and profession, readily recognized by peers as being dedicated to excellence in their work, consistently serves as a role model for all persons in the department. The recipient this year has literally changed our department by being coordinator of our pro bono clinic and our ICE curriculum. So this year's recipient is Dr. Tyler Schultz. I now invite the president of the class of 2022, John Gonzalez, back to the podium.
Good afternoon, class of 2022, faculty, friends, and family. I want to start by acknowledging all of the Wingate faculty and staff who have helped us reach this point. Without your guidance, patience, empathy, and vigor, we wouldn't have made it this far or here today, so thank you. Next, I want to thank my fellow graduates. This class is truly special and one that I'm thankful and continually humbled to be part of. When we started our PT school careers, we came to Wingate from all across the country, each one of us aware that there would be 3 years of new homes, new faces, and new challenges. However, what we couldn't anticipate is that after just 3 short months, we would be suddenly adjusting to the difficulties of remote learning. In addition to a rigorous curriculum, we suddenly faced uncertainties surrounding our health and our well-being. As the world changed around us, we became pioneers in a season of unprecedented challenges, banding together as a class and finding strength in one another through it all. A perfect example of our cohort's unity was on display before every exam in a pre-test ritual initiated by none other than our beloved classmate, Big Trent. Before each test, for those of you who are unaware, Trent would send a carefully crafted message to our entire class and our group me with a banner slogan reminding us to preserve the curve. And while the idea of being the curve might sound like a call to achieving the bare minimum, the deeper meaning behind these rallying messages was actually one of teamwork, loyalty, and camaraderie. This mentality was crucial not just to surviving in PT school, but thriving in PT school. Before each exam, I would always turn my phone off, but I'd always waited for that last moment until I could read Trent's message, because his assurance that we are the curve calmed my anxieties and reaffirmed to me that everyone else sitting in that exam room was in the exact same position that I was, and that all we wanted as a class was for each other to succeed. Well, everyone who was supposed to be in the room anyway, because in those moments, Big Trent could be heard pacing the hallways, blasting "Jesus, Take the Wheel." But outside of the classroom, This collaborative consciousness molded us into team players and resulted in amazing shared experiences, such as 2 intramural basketball championships and the ascension of the one and only Coach Rudebeck, who is still 2-0 and undefeated. We studied and stressed out together, shared meals and celebrated, created individualized memes for our professors, which we spent a lot of time on. We joked and bonded over our class group me and assembled the most epic classroom Halloween decorations of all time. Moments like these made an impact not on just us, but on this program and on every class that will follow. Moments that, when combined, create a vibrant story that will resonate in our lives, on this campus, and throughout our careers. As such, I want to build on Trent's concept today. While we spent our time as students thinking we were the curve, in reality, we were the bar. We set a tone of grit, camaraderie, empathy, leadership, and joy that classes after us will strive to model. We contributed to the growth of this program and to the growth of each other. We cultivated friendships that will continue to develop into professional relationships that will further and enrich not only our field, but our lives. My friends, we are and will forever be the bar. The extent of our impact has only just begun. So congratulations, Wingate DPT, class of 2022. May you carry this legacy forward and continue to set the bar wherever you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. It's so funny to call you guys that. Sounds good, doesn't it? So, thank you, Dr. Covington and Dr. Teague, for your thoughtful words. Thank you to the Stokes family, who do so very much to support our program and students. I want to give a warm welcome to Dr. Erin Jacobson, who I believe is sitting up in the back. She was faculty with this cohort. So, thank you, Erin. She would never have missed this day. A special thank you to Ms. Sandra Martin, who's in the back. Can we all just stand for Sandra, please? Sandra works so tirelessly to coordinate this event, but truly is the engine of our department and everything we do. We would truly fall apart without her. Please join me in giving her another huge round of applause. And thank you to our faculty, who without them, we could never have gotten to this point. Now on to, now on to you guys. I'm going to try to get through this without crying. I don't know if I'm going to be so successful, though. So I struggled with what I wanted to say this year, and I'm not really sure why. I think I felt a little added pressure because of who you all are and what you have been through. I very affectionately, and you know this from the other night, referred to your cohort as our COVID kids. For those of you that have lost track of the timeline, this class was with us for only about 10 weeks before we went to all remote learning because of COVID. And while I want to make sure this talk is not about COVID, but about you all, it certainly has impacted and shaped your time with us. To say that that time was anything short of hellacious would be an understatement. I personally was in the middle of quarantining from a trip abroad when we decided to shut down, pull students from clinic, go remote, and flip the world of Wingate DPT on its head. There were classes to be recorded, postings on Canvas to be updated and expanded upon, virtual labs to be planned, you guys performing virtual labs on teddy bears, if you didn't have a roommate or a family around. There were Amazon boxes to be wiped down, store searches for disinfectant to be had, and the watching of endless tracking of statistics and nightly news updates. There was also a little bit of wine consumed during all of that. I admit it. There were meetings upon meetings upon meetings to endlessly talk about policies, procedures, social distancing, changes of curriculum to keep everyone on track, all while we were worrying about the health of our students, our families, our friends, and ourselves. And just when we thought we could, this is where I'm going to cry. So just when we thought that we couldn't go one more sleepless night and we were ready to throw in the towel on this entire academic career that we had planned for ourselves, this group of individuals right here lifted us up with one simple message. And I think, although I'm not certain, that we have Laura Camp to thank for organizing it. I can't remember if it was a video or a series of PowerPoint slides, but each member of the class was pictured with a sign with a word or two written on it that made up a complete phrase. Every single one of them joined together while being physically apart, while they were also battling much of the same of what we were, and sent us this message. Thank you, Wingate DPT. We see you working hard to help us keep learning. Your students appreciate you. 1 semester down, 8 more to go. Remember your why. Much love from home, DPT1's class of 2022. I will tell you that simple act of kindness literally brought me to tears that day and today and gave us all the strength to go on, to endure the meetings, the curricular changes, the double teaching, the sleepless nights. That simple act of kindness is your signature as a class and a signature of you all as individuals. As you go into the real world, there will be days when you feel like throwing in the towel, when you will have sleepless nights worrying about someone in your care, where you will feel burnout, where you will be upset because you feel inadequate, where you will be exhausted from meetings and clinic work, and where you will question whether you have done the right thing. I implore you to show the same kindness to yourselves as you have always shown to us. I urge you to have the same patience with yourselves as you have had with us since day one. I encourage you to show appreciation for those around you who might also be struggling and who need support, as you did with us. I ask you to give yourselves some grace, as you have always given us. And I pray that you remember your why, as you helped us to remember. The days and nights ahead might not always be easy, but you have repeatedly shown you have the resilience to weather any storm. You have the grit to tough it out, and you have the intelligence to battle the unknowns. But perhaps most importantly, you have the kindness to truly impact those around you. Jane Goodall once wrote, "You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make." So much of what we do in PT relies on the relationships we build with our patients and the trust they have in us, the communication we have with them, the kindness that we show them that allows them to believe in what we do, but that also allows them to believe in themselves as well. Make the positive difference that Jane Goodall spoke of. Be a difference maker, like the Wingate alumni that have come before you. I think it was serendipity that brought you all to our program at the moment you joined us. I think someone up above knew that we would need you as much as you would need us. I say thanks every day that you chose us for your PT education, but more importantly, that we have been given the beautiful experience of getting to know you as people. I leave you with this, the prayer by St. Therese. May today there be peace within. May you trust God that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith. May you use those gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. May you be content knowing you are a child of God. Let this presence settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing, dance, praise, and love. It is there for each and every one of us. We will miss you terribly, but we are so excited to watch you soar as you remember your why. Congratulations. I ask that you stay in your seats until the end of the recessional. Once the students have exited the auditorium, please feel free to join us next door in the McGee Center lobby for some light refreshments. I now invite Emily Golden to close our ceremony today. Thank you.
Would you pray with me? Father, you are gracious and so worthy of praise. I stand before you on behalf of the class of 2022 to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to come to Wingate and for seeing us safely through this program to such a joyful day. God, your goodness is evident in the relationships you have gifted to each of us, in our kind-hearted faculty, loving families, and the friendships that we now have found in each other. As we leave this university, I ask for your will to be done in our lives. I pray for our future patients that we would be able to help them in their moment of need. I ask for wisdom as we take the NPTE. Help us to recall all we have learned, and I pray for calm nerves and good clinical reasoning on our first evals as new grads. May we be clinicians that bring honor to your name. Bless this program and our beloved faculty who have helped us to get here. We give you all the honor and the glory. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.